one of the possible exam 1 questions. And this relates to drawing on this particular map certain specific lines of latitude, and then from there identifying the regions, the different latitudinal zones. And we'll just go ahead and begin with the two most obvious that are on here, and that's the top and the bottom. That's going to be the 90 degrees north and 90 degrees south. And I start with those because keep in mind, we're drawing nothing but parallel lines, and so just try to make your lines going the same direction. So just make them as parallel as possible. So we got these two lines here to start from as far as drawing our lines. From there, although it's not one on here specifically for one of the latitudinal zones, it does do a good job of kind of mirroring, making sure on both sides of the equator your lines are the same. And so another straight line to base your drawings, your particular lines of latitude off of. And for the equator, just simply this lake in the middle of Africa is a good place to go to essentially put a dot right there in a straight line, making sure that it is perfectly parallel to the 90 degree north and 90 degree south line. From there, we got to do the tropics. And so we got to define the tropics. First off, the Tropic of Cancer, which is in the northern hemisphere. And this line, I suggest two different ways to kind of note where to draw this line. First off, we have Cuba located right here, and then the tip of Florida right there. So in between there, right off the coast of Cuba, is where the Tropic of Cancer goes right over. Another way, just on this particular map, we've got these islands over here that are part of the Hawaiian island chain. We got the first one, the second one, and if you notice the third one, boom, that line goes right through. So those are just two different points to mark your line. In the case of 23.5 south, which is Tropic of Capricorn, use this particular country right here, Paraguay. It's this small country right through the middle of it would be a good guide. Another here is the southern part of Madagascar would be another good kind of point. Not the southern tip, but just somewhere on the southern part of that island. It'd be a good dot to draw, and then, of course, straight line right through, making sure that's perfectly parallel to our equator. Next up is the 35-degree line. And that 35-degree line, if you look at Spain and Morocco, where they're kind of kissing each other, right there in the middle of that circle, just put a line right through that or dot right through there, and then a straight line across, and that's 35 north. For 35 south, you got different options for 35 south. I like to just use the southern tip of Africa, just off the southern coast of Africa, the southern tip would be the 35 line. You can also say just the southern tip of these extreme western and southern edge of Australia, or this little inland area there south of Uruguay, where we have this little inlet here. It's another good kind of note for where the 35-degree line is. Next up, let's go ahead and do the 60-degree north. This is an easy one, the southern tip of Greenland. Just put a dot there, straight line across. Would be good for the 60-degree north line. For the 60-degree south, there's kind of a little bit more ambiguity here. You gotta have a halfway between this tip of this peninsula of Antarctica and the southern tip, the southern peninsula of South America. Or you could say, if you notice these islands here, just south of those islands, and straight line across. And so keep in mind that the distance between this 35-degree and 60-degree south, the distance there should be the same as the distance here. So just kind of eyeball it. If it looks screwy on your map, well, then double check it to make sure that you have your specific points noted. Then from there, we then identify the different latitudinal zones. And of course, between 23.5 north and south is the tropics. Between 23.5 north and south and 35 is the subtropics. Then we have our mid-latitudes between 35 and 60 on both sides, and eventually the high or the polar latitudes from 60 to 90 on both sides.